Good evening, curious minds of the interwebs. I'm Alexa, the resident ooky spooky girly, and today we're diving into some heavy stuff that always sounds both too wild to believe, but also pretty realistic at the same time. Question for y'all, what are your theories on how aliens appear to us humans? Let me know in the comments, and welcome to the top 5 real alien shapeshifters caught changing on camera. Number 5, fake Melania. Alrighty folks, I'm kicking off today with my personal theory. Does anyone remember back in like 2017 to 2020 when Donald Trump was in office and videos of Melania looking a little off took over the interwebs? Specifically, the first hashtag fake Melania seems to have landed on October 13th of 2017 when a video of Donald and Melania Trump in a news segment was uploaded to Facebook by Andy Wagner. In the segment, Trump was talking to reporters when he mentioned Melania, who happens to be right here, he said, gesturing to the Melania-esque woman in sunglasses beside him. Melania doesn't speak, but she does nod a lot. 2 days later, Wagner put it on YouTube, and then she tweeted about it a few times, which went viral, and this spawned hashtag fake Melania. After that story went viral, Stephanie Grisham, the First Lady's communications director, went on CNN to do some damage control, saying that, once again, we find ourselves consumed with a ridiculous non-story when we could be talking about the work the First Lady is doing, including the opioid crisis that is gripping the nation. Very good attempt at taking the conversation in another direction. I know PR spin when I hear it. Here's my theory. What if Melania is an alien shapeshifter and the photos and videos caught her on an off day when she wasn't at full power? Similar to, Superman. Maybe there's something in our universe that acts as kind of a kryptonite of sorts for her, which is why she's so reclusive in her ways. Fake Melania puts the First Lady's reserved approach to her post in the East Wing under a magnifying glass. She did stay in New York City with her son for the first 5 months of Trump's term and rarely gave public comment in the first 2 years, which is a good way to avoid scrutiny from eagle-eyed folks looking for proof of alien DNA. A source close to Melania has claimed that she wasn't especially keen on being in the White House, and she even once disappeared from public life for weeks. Maybe she was, visiting alien relatives. Eventually, her office attributed the absence to a kidney ailment. Undeterred by Grisham's best efforts, and in spite of its sharply diminishing returns, fake Melania continued to froth up intermittently. The meme reared its head once again when Donald Trump and his wife visited Alabama, and percolated in the days afterwards, but eventually settled. Eventually, Trump weighed in on Twitter, because when was he not, saying that the fake news photoshopped pictures of Melania then propelled conspiracy theories that it's actually not her by my side in Alabama and other places. They are only getting more deranged with time. Honestly, maybe that's why Trump is so batty, being around alien tech all the time. Number 4, White House security. I guess since the US government covers up so much alien and UFO stuff, it makes sense that it could be one of the places aliens are either forced to work at or just work at for safety. Like I said a moment ago, maybe Melania got coaxed into living there by the other aliens in residence, but, pardon me, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a saying that the internet never forgets, and that's certainly true of old conspiracy theories that refuse to die. There's a video of a US Secret Service agent who, conspiracy theorists since 2013 have accused of being a reptilian shapeshifter. The video is nearly a decade old at this point, and stems from a speech given by former US President Barack Obama at a March 4th, 2013 policy conference held by the lobbying group American Israel Public Affairs Committee, also known by its acronym AIPAC. So in the video, conspiracy theorists zoom in on the Secret Service agent and accuse him of being a reptile, saying stuff like, "This was the day that the government was caught with a reptilian Secret Service agent in HD and they didn't deny anything." It raises some obvious questions, such as, if the government was trying to hide its reptilian agents, why put one in a highly visible position at a televised event? If reptilians are capable of shape-shifting to look like humans, why not just shape-shift into something less obvious, like a table or a chair? Do shape-shifting reptilians get full pay and benefits as government employees? Honestly, while this might be like a conspiracy theory, with the hours that the Secret Service must have to keep, it makes sense that a more advanced race would be best in charge of protection guidelines. In a March of 2013 story published by Wired, there's a quote from Caitlin Hayden, spokeswoman for the National Security Council, in which she refers to Obama-era budget cuts as, referred to as sequestration. I can't confirm the claims made in the video, but any alleged program to guard the president with aliens or robots would likely have to be scaled back or eliminated in the sequester. I'd refer you to the Secret Service or Area 51 for more details. So alien guards have gotten a raw deal through the sequester. So the White House didn't clarify if its reptilian Secret Service agents are subject to the furloughs without pay that were affecting federal employees at the time. They may have prevented Obama from falling into the clutches of an intergalactic conspiracy, that is if the president wasn't in on it from the start. One theorist claims that he literally looked for the video everywhere and couldn't find it. The only place it exists now is Reddit, so if the government is trying to hide the video, it's doing a pretty inadequate job. The reptilian theory has been floating around for years, with one of its more prominent promoters being David Icke. or Ike. I couldn't really find a pronunciation. The conspiracy claims that a race of reptilians is secretly controlling the world, pulling the strings in major human atrocities like the Holocaust. David, who is English, has been barred from holding events in countries like the Netherlands and Germany over some really bad conspiracy theories. Number 3, Wolfboy. In a video titled Part 2, we called him Weirboy, Wisconsin investigator Donna Fink told of her 2012 sighting of a strange werewolf-looking boy in a strange white van. She started off by making sure to show the viewers where she first saw where the boy/shapeshifter, or who knows what. Now she's adamant that she doesn't know what he was, but the incident took place in Rock County, Wisconsin between Milton and Whitewater on a bright sunny Sunday afternoon at around 3 o'clock. So the weekend before, she had gone into the woods, her Bigfoot research area, and while she and her husband were in the woods, they heard a loud buzzing rhythmic sound, described as similar to a transformer type sound, and it was really loud and repetitive. The duo couldn't figure out what it was, and then they heard a branch crack, like a really big one, and as they were exiting the woods, they passed a mud hole that they had observed on their way in, but this time there were 2 wolf prints, so Donna paused to take photos. They thought it was strange because they hadn't seen a wolf anywhere, and it's only 1 square block of woods by a farm. This is where I'm waving my suspicious red flag and telling them to never return to the area, but that's what they did the next weekend. Granted, I wouldn't be talking about it today if they didn't return. When Donna and her husband were approaching their Bigfoot research area the following weekend, driving on the left shoulder of the road, they noticed what they described as a wereboy. He looked normal at first until he looked up at the duo, when they noticed that he had huge teeth and matted hair, like he'd been living under a rock or a bridge or goodness knows where. When the duo saw him, they screamed in unison and made a U-turn so they could go back and get video and pictures of him, because he was so weird looking that he could not be completely human. His teeth were very big and flat, twice the size of human teeth, and instead of the white teeth one would expect to see, they were yellow, green, and brown streaked. You could see the upper row and lower row of teeth in, a grimace. Not super friendly. His eyes were a little bit darkened around the rims, had a normal nose, and a little bit of a brow ridge. He had on clean clothes though, which was kind of strange. They described it as a plaid shirt, a navy blue hoodie that was partially zipped up, and blue jeans, which were all completely normal, but then on his feet, he had canvas slip-on tennis shoes. But apparently the weirdest thing was he had something like a muzzle, but not a big one, more like a chimpanzee. Donna and her husband were terrified of what the possible outcome of the situation could be, and decided to go down by the cemetery, turn around, get the video cameras and cell phones out, and overall just be ready to take a video and, pictures. But out of nowhere, a white double-decker panel van, looking completely brand new, like no markings on it whatsoever, pulled up near the wereboy. And while Donna isn't sure how many people were in the van, she remembered seeing one man in just a regular shirt, no uniform or anything, making a U-turn, pulling up along next to that creature, getting out. The door opened on the side of the van, boy got in, and zoom, everybody's gone. So Donna and her husband looked down every side street, every driveway, every single direction they could think of, but the van just completely disappeared. Now, while she did categorize this as like a werewolf spawning, I more believe it was an alien shapeshifter since it was daylight, and werewolves tend to only come out at night. Number 2, not deer. While this spawning could technically be classified as a cryptid spawning, I'd like to bring forth the theory that some of the creatures we might consider to be cryptids might actually be from other alien worlds that have accidentally wound up on our planet, or purposefully. This video was courtesy of user Valwho on TikTok, who opened their front door to a creature that almost looks like a deer, but missing ears, and the eyes are definitely not in the right spot. For reference, not deer are described as looking like a deer from a distance, but as one looks at it longer or it gets closer, something about it is pretty off. Their movements are described as similar to a newborn deer, but appearing as an adult, with some theories suggesting the creature is double jointed, kind of like me, or has additional joints in its limbs. The most defining feature, however, is that not deers don't have eyes on the sides of their head, but rather the front, like a predator, kind of like what you see in this video. They tend to mostly frequent Tennessee, but this spotting allegedly came from somewhere in Southern California, which honestly would be a good place to land a UFO. My theory? It was an alien creature doing recon that was caught trying to morph into a deer to blend into the surroundings, but missed a few steps or got caught early. Number 1, Queenie. May she absolutely rest in peace, but honest to goodness, no one lives that long without having some sort of secret. If you look closely at the video in question, particularly at the Queen's eyes, something is just a little bit off. Being in power for 70 years without slipping up in one's disguise is a feat I absolutely commend her for. But at the same time, after that faux pas, she retreated more and more from very public events, probably to protect her identity. Look, I'm not the only one with this theory, and I know it. There's quite the popular theory out there that the draconian Martians are a superior race of being, and that over time they've traveled to Earth and either organically become our leaders or replace those already in charge to lead up to their end goal. And before someone says that's far-fetched, similar tales exist all through history, dating back to fairies and changelings, which is honestly something I also believe in. And that brings us to the end of our time, and I don't know what to believe anymore. As an adult, I swear my entire view on the world and what I learned growing up keeps getting questioned and changing. And while I love knowing more, my head continues to spin. If you enjoyed my chitter chatter today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, Hit the bell for more alien theories from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.